In a society where volume, visibility, and extroversion are often mistaken for strength, the quieter voices among us sometimes feel unheard or misunderstood. The world buzzes with expectations. Social media celebrates the loudest opinions. Workplaces award the most assertive personalities, and culture in general seems to value confidence that borders on brashness. But beneath this din lies a quieter power, a tranquil reservoir of strength and insight that is often overlooked, the power of introverts and echoists. Introvert or echoist, understanding your true self and thriving in a loud world, is an invitation to explore the depths of your own personality and uncover your hidden strengths. Whether you consider yourself introverted, suspect you may hold echoist tendencies, or simply feel out of place in an extrovert-dominated landscape, this book is your guide to discovering, accepting, and celebrating who you truly are. Introversion is frequently misunderstood. It is mistakenly seen as shyness, social anxiety, or emotional fragility. In reality, introverts possess keen observation, deep empathy, and remarkable creativity. Echoists, on the other hand, are introspective to the extreme, sometimes vanishing into the needs and desires of others. Understanding the distinction, where being quietly powerful ends and self-effacement begins, is crucial for self-awareness and growth. The journey begins with understanding, identifying whether you lean toward introversion, extroversion, or echoism, and why these traits matter. We then delve into the unique strengths of introverts, showing how seemingly gentle personalities can wield profound influence. The shadowy world of echoism is explored with care and compassion, revealing how its roots are often tangled with early experiences and social pressures. Chapter 1. Understanding your personality, introvert, extrovert, or echoist. The first step towards truly thriving in a world that celebrates loudness is self-understanding. Personality is a complex tapestry, woven from threads of genetics, experiences, and environment. Most people are familiar with the basic dichotomy between introverts and extroverts. Less widely known, but equally important, is the concept of echoism, a personality trait where one tends to minimize one's own needs and feelings, sometimes losing oneself in the shadows of others. Let us begin with introversion. Introverts typically recharge their mental and emotional batteries by retreating to quieter environments. They may prefer deep, meaningful conversations with a few close friends over the energy of a crowded party. Their inner lives are vivid and rich. They notice subtle details, absorb emotions, and reflect on experiences with thoughtfulness. Introversion is not synonymous with shyness or social anxiety. In fact, introverts often enjoy social interactions, but they are selective and need solitude to recharge. Extroverts, in contrast, thrive on social interaction. They gain energy from engaging with others, express themselves openly, and are generally more comfortable in stimulating environments. Extroversion is associated with sociability, enthusiasm, and assertiveness. However, introversion and extroversion are not strict categories. Most people exhibit traits from both ends of the spectrum in different situations, a concept known as ambiversion. Echoism represents a subtler, often overlooked personality dimension. Echoists are marked by an acute sensitivity to others' needs and an aversion to being the center of attention. They may struggle to assert themselves, often putting the desires of others before their own. The echoist's voice is soft, not because it lacks power, but because it has learned to mute itself in the presence of louder personalities, sometimes as a result of environmental conditioning or early relational experiences. Are you introverted, extroverted, or do you sense an echoist streak within yourself? To find out, reflect on these questions. After a busy day, do you prefer solitude or company to recharge? Are you comfortable expressing your opinions in a group, or do you hesitate to speak up? Do you find yourself absorbing the moods of those around you, losing track of your own feelings? Are you frequently worried about intruding or burdening others with your needs? Do you enjoy being the center of attention, or do you shy away from it? Understanding your own inclinations is powerful. It helps you recognize your strengths and set boundaries that support your well-being. A common misconception is that introverts or echoists must transform into extroverts to succeed in a dynamic world. In reality, success rests on authenticity. The goal is not to abandon your nature, but to embrace it, learn its language, and express your true self unapologetically. This chapter will guide you through the origins and manifestations of these traits. We will explore how family dynamics, peer groups, and societal messages shape our self-perceptions. You'll learn to identify conditioned responses that perpetuate silence or self-effacement, and begin to unearth the deep wells of quiet strength within. In the sections to follow, you'll be invited to complete a personality inventory, offering deeper insight into your own temperament. You'll explore how culture and context influence the way you perceive yourself, and unearth the masks you may unconsciously wear to meet external expectations. By the end of this chapter, you will have a clearer understanding of your unique personality, and just as importantly, the permission to accept it fully. The path to thriving is paved with self-knowledge. As you move forward on this journey, remember, your quiet voice is as valuable, meaningful, and worthy of being heard as any other. Chapter 2. The Quiet Power of Introversion. There is a gentle strength in introversion, a power often hidden from view, but deeply transformative when embraced. In a culture that equates impact with volume and leadership with visibility, the qualities of introverts may be underestimated. Yet history and daily life reveals countless instances of quiet influence shaping the world. Introverts are often deep thinkers. Their ability to reflect, analyze, and imagine allows for profound contributions. Consider famous introverts like Albert Einstein, J.K. Rowling, or Mahatma Gandhi, individuals whose quiet contemplation led to world-changing ideas and movements. While extroverts may ignite crowds with spontaneous flair, introverts seed slow revolutions of thought, art, or social change. What sets introverts apart is their capacity for active listening. In conversations, they absorb nuances, engage empathetically, and respond with insight. In workplaces, they often serve as stabilizing forces, mediating conflicts through calm understanding rather than loud persuasion. Introverts may prefer teams over spotlight, but their influence often lies in fostering cohesion, depth, and innovation. In personal relationships, introverts offer the gift of presence. Their company is soothing, their attention undivided. Loved ones often remark that introverts make excellent friends and partners because of their loyalty and authenticity. Introverts create spaces where vulnerability can flourish and meaningful connections are possible. Self-awareness is another quiet strength. Introverts invest time in self-reflection, understanding their needs, strengths, and limits. This fosters resilience. When introverts face challenging situations, they draw on their inner reserves, pacing themselves rather than reacting impulsively. They are less likely to be swept up by external chaos, choosing instead to respond with intention. Creativity and innovation flourish in the stillness cultivated by introverts. Whether through art, writing, scientific invention, or entrepreneurship, introverts tend to pursue mastery in their chosen fields, producing exceptional work through dedication and depth. They are not afraid of solitude, seeing it as fertile ground for imagination and inspiration. However, harnessing the power of introversion requires overcoming internal and external barriers. Many introverts have internalized negative stereotypes, believing their silence is a weakness. They may feel pressured to adopt extroverted behaviors to fit in socially or professionally. This misalignment causes tension, exhaustion, and a sense of invisibility. To unlock their quiet power, introverts must first unlearn these myths. It is crucial to recognize that introversion is not a disadvantage. It's a different mode of engaging with the world. By nurturing their natural preferences for solitude and depth, introverts can enhance their personal and professional lives. Practical strategies include carving out time for reflection, seeking environments that honor silence, and setting boundaries that prevent energy depletion. Introverts should not be afraid to advocate for their needs, whether requesting quiet spaces at work, managing social obligations, or building a support network of understanding friends and mentors. Embracing introversion involves finding balance. While honoring their innate tendencies, introverts can also challenge themselves to step outside of comfort zones when necessary, without abandoning their core self. Through small acts of courage, presenting an idea, initiating a conversation, or joining a new group, introverts can expand their influence while maintaining their center. Finally, celebrating introversion means telling a new story. Rather than seeing themselves as background players in a loud world, introverts can recognize their unique capacity for deep connection, creative insight, and steady leadership. Their presence matters. The ripples of their quiet influence reach far and wide. As we move forward, remember, the world needs the steady anchor as much as the roaring sea. Your quiet power is not just valuable, it is vital. The following chapters will guide you in recognizing echoism, navigating outside pressures, and building a life where your true self is not just accepted, but celebrated. Chapter 3. What is an echoist? Recognizing the hidden self. Within the spectrum of personality, echoism is a quieter, less recognized trait, but its impact on self-awareness and well-being is considerable. Unlike introversion, which is an active orientation toward inner life, echoism often manifests as an erasure of self, a tendency to silence one's own needs for the comfort or approval of others. Echoists are deeply sensitive, tuned into the moods, desires, and feelings of those around them. This empathy, while valuable, may come at the cost of their own identity. Many echoists struggle to advocate for themselves, fearing rejection, conflict, or the possibility of being perceived as selfish. This inclination is magnified in relationships with narcissists or dominant personalities, where echoists' voices are easily overshadowed. The origins of echoism often trace back to early experiences. Children who grow up in environments where expressing needs leads to criticism, neglect, or punishment may learn to minimize themselves to avoid negative attention. They internalize the message that their feelings are less important, and over time, this pattern persists into adulthood. Coloring friendships, romantic relationships, and work dynamics, echoists tend to avoid expressing opinions or desires, feel guilty for needing help, struggle with self-advocacy, fear of being a burden, place others' happiness above their own. These qualities, while reflecting profound empathy, trap echoists in cycles of self-sacrifice and invisibility. The longing to be seen and valued remains unfulfilled, as efforts to avoid attention paradoxically result in deeper isolation. Many echoists experience anxiety, depression, or persistent dissatisfaction, sensing that life is passing them by while they stand on the sidelines. Recognizing echoism is not about shame, it is an act of compassion. By shining light on these patterns, echoists can begin to reclaim their voice and place in the world. Self-discovery starts by noticing moments where you minimize yourself. Do you downplay achievements? Apologize unnecessarily? Keep silent when mistreated? These are cues that echoism may be present. The solution is not to become loudly assertive overnight. Instead, echoists benefit from gentle, gradual steps towards self-assertion. Practicing small acts of self-care, saying no to an unreasonable request, sharing an opinion, voicing disappointment, can retrain the mind to value personal needs. Therapy, journaling, and support groups provide invaluable spaces for echoists to heal old wounds and build confidence. It is equally important to recognize the positive aspects of echoism. Echoists possess rare gifts: attentive listening, genuine concern for others, and an aversion to dominance or manipulation. When balanced with self-respect, these qualities form the foundation of healthy relationships and ethical leadership. This chapter invites you to explore your hidden self with kindness. There is no shame in echoism, only an opportunity for growth and integration. By acknowledging where you silence yourself, you create space to reclaim your needs. And as your voice emerges, you will discover the joy of being seen, heard, and valued for your true self. Moving forward, we will examine how social pressures reinforce echoistic patterns and offer strategies for protecting your sense of self in a loud world. Remember, your presence matters. The echo of your own voice deserves to be heard. Chapter 4. The social pressure of a loud world. Modern society reveres noise, both literal and metaphorical. From bustling cities and crowded gatherings to workplace cultures that reward outspoken behavior, the pressure to speak up and stand out permeates daily life. For introverts and echoists, these environments can be overwhelming, draining, and even alienating. Social pressure manifests in countless ways. At school, quiet children may be urged to participate more. At work, those who are reserved are sometimes overlooked for promotions or team leadership. In friendships, the expectation to join every outing or communicate frequently can leave more reflective individuals feeling exhausted and inadequate. Media and pop culture reinforce these norms. Movies portray bold personalities as heroes. Advertisements trumpet the fear of missing out, and social platforms amplify the loudest voices. The implicit message is clear. To be successful or happy, you must be seen and heard constantly. But what happens to those who thrive in silence? Introverts and echoists may internalize a sense of deficiency, feeling flawed for not matching society's extroverted ideals. They may mask their true selves to fit in, suppress unique perspectives, and avoid situations that trigger discomfort. Over time, this chronic effort to adapt can erode self-esteem and foster anxiety. Family dynamics often add another layer of pressure. Parents and relatives may lovingly encourage children to be more outgoing, unaware that such nudges reinforce the notion that quietness is undesirable. For echoists, the lack of validation during formative years compounds the difficulty of asserting boundaries and expressing needs. Technology intensifies this social noise. Instant messaging, video calls, and perpetual connectivity leave little room for introspection. The ubiquitous demand for rapid response, "Why didn't you reply sooner?" Post more often. It creates a cycle of stress for those who need solitude to recharge. So how do introverts and echoists navigate this cacophony? The answer lies in conscious adaptation, protective self-care, and community. Setting boundaries is not just permissible, it is necessary. Declining invitations, silencing notifications, or creating physical spaces for quiet are acts of empowerment, not isolation. Furthermore, reframing societal narratives is crucial. Introverts and extroverts can seek out role models who have succeeded without sacrificing their nature. Books, podcasts, and mentors offer alternative stories of achievement, demonstrating that self-worth is not contingent on conformity. Finding allies, friends, colleagues, family members who respect your needs for solitude or emotional safety provides refuge from external demands. Sharing your preferences openly educates others, reducing misunderstanding and fostering supportive relationships. In this chapter, we also explore workplace strategies, how to advocate for flexible environments, ask for downtime between meetings, and communicate your strengths as an attentive listener or deep thinker. For educators and parents, guidance is offered on nurturing quiet children without pressuring them to perform. The journey through a loud world is not about drowning out noise. It is about carving out space for your truth to emerge. By recognizing and resisting social pressure, introverts and echoists reclaim the right to exist authentically. The world may be loud, but your inner life is rich, and with care, it can flourish despite the clamor. Chapter 5. Self-acceptance. Embracing who you are. The pathway to thriving as an introvert or echoist begins with self-acceptance. Too often, those with quieter personalities view themselves through a lens of inadequacy, comparing, criticizing, and wishing they were different. But true fulfillment arises not from imitation, but from self-embrace. Self-acceptance means seeing yourself clearly without harsh judgment or distortion. It entails recognizing your innate traits, reserved energy, empathy, depth, and honoring them as strengths rather than flaws. For the introvert, it may mean cherishing moments of solitude and reflection. For the echoist, it is the radical act of permitting yourself to occupy space. The journey to self-acceptance is rarely linear. Cultural narratives, familial expectations, and internalized beliefs can overwhelm attempts to celebrate oneself. Many introverts and echoists struggle to articulate their needs, fearing they will be perceived as antisocial, rude, or needy. Some have spent years suppressing feelings, automatically prioritizing others, or retreating when overwhelmed. Self-acceptance begins with self-awareness. Regular reflection, journaling, or therapy can illuminate patterns of thought and behavior. Ask yourself, where do I feel most like myself? Which environments nourish me? What relationships allow me to speak freely? Identifying these moments helps you locate your authentic core. Equally important is unlearning old messages. Practice challenging self-criticism with compassion. I am enough, even if I am quiet. Replace comparisons with celebration. What do you bring to the world that is uniquely yours? Make a list of personal strengths and gently affirm them until they feel true. Surround yourself with supportive individuals. Seek friendships and partnerships rooted in mutual respect, where silence is not viewed as absence, but as presence. Communicate your needs honestly. I need alone time to recharge, or I want to share my thoughts, even if they differ. Build safe spaces where you can practice self-advocacy without fear. Forgiveness, both for yourself and for others, is a vital part of self-acceptance. Release guilt for not meeting external standards. Let go of anger at those who fail to understand you. Recognize that everyone carries hidden wounds. Your path is unique, and your healing is sacred. Self-acceptance also means celebrating progress. Every act of self-care is a victory. Declining a draining invitation, voicing an opinion, or honoring a creative impulse. Track your growth, no matter how small, and gently encourage yourself to continue evolving. In this chapter, you'll find exercises and stories that inspire acceptance and resilience. You will learn how to cultivate inner safety, create affirming environments, and rewrite your self-story from a place of compassion. The world needs every kind of voice, loud, quiet, and everything in between. Embracing who you are allows you to show up authentically, offering your unique gifts without compromise. The journey towards self-acceptance is the foundation upon which thriving is built. Chapter 6. Energy Management. Protecting your inner reserve. For introverts and echoists, energy is a precious resource, one that must be protected with intention and care. Unlike extroverts, who tend to recharge through stimulation and interaction, quieter personalities renew themselves in solitude, reflection, and low-pressure environments. Mismanagement of energy leads to exhaustion, burnout, and emotional distress. Understanding your energy landscape is the first step. Notice which activities drain you and which replenish. Social gatherings, noisy spaces, and emotional caretaking may sap your reserves, while walking in nature, reading, or meditating can restore balance. Pay attention to physical cues: fatigue, irritability, difficulty concentrating. These signals indicate overstimulation or depletion. Boundaries are crucial in energy management. Learn to say no when obligations threaten your well-being. Politely decline invitations when your battery is low, or negotiate social time to suit your rhythms. Communicate openly with loved ones. Let them know when you need solitude and why it matters. Most importantly, resist the urge to apologize for your needs. They are valid and necessary. Routine helps preserve energy. Structure your days to include downtime, moments of reflection, and nourishing activities. Schedule non-negotiable breaks during work and create evening rituals that signal rest. Use planning tools, calendars, reminders to avoid overcommitting and ensure you honor your limits. Technology can both help and hinder. Harness tools for self-care, calming music, meditation apps, journaling platforms. At the same time, set boundaries around digital noise, silence notifications, limit screen time, and carve out tech-free spaces where your mind can rest. Emotional energy is just as important as physical stamina. Echoists especially must learn to protect themselves from emotional overload. Helping others is admirable, but constant caretaking risks self-neglect. Practice checking in. Am I feeling overwhelmed? Is this my emotion or someone else's? Grounding exercises, deep breathing, visualization, or gentle movement reconnect you with your own state. Self-care is not selfish. Taking time for yourself enables you to show up more fully for others. Prioritize restorative practices, hobbies, creative pursuits, or quiet moments in nature. If possible, create an environment that reflects your needs. Soft lighting, soothing colors, comfortable spaces where you can retreat. Finally, learn to replenish energy after being drained. Recognize the signs of overload and respond quickly with self-compassion. Cancel plans if necessary, withdraw without guilt, and nurture yourself without apology. In this chapter, you'll find tools and techniques for effective energy management. You'll explore the concept of energy budgeting, where you allocate resources for essential activities and reserve plenty for rest. Case studies and exercises will guide you through real-life scenarios, declining invitations, managing demanding relationships, and prioritizing your own well-being. Energy is your foundation. Protecting your inner reserve allows you to live more fully, love more deeply, and show up authentically in every aspect of life. With care, intention, and boundaries, you can thrive without sacrificing your essential self. Chapter 7. Setting Boundaries in Personal Relationships. We are often taught that being agreeable, accommodating, and selfless makes us good friends, partners, daughters, or sons. For introverts and echoists, these lessons can strike particularly deep. Saying no, stating needs, or simply asking for space might evoke guilt, anxiety, or even shame. Yet healthy boundaries are the scaffolding for genuine connection, psychological safety, and personal growth. Without them, even the most loving relationships can sour into exhaustion, resentment, and loss of self. Understanding boundaries, a quiet necessity at its heart. A personal boundary is a line, a marker of where you end and others begin. It can be emotional, physical, mental, or digital. Setting boundaries lets others know your limits, and more importantly, communicates your commitment to self-respect. For introverts, this often looks like time alone for recharging. For echoists, it may mean voicing preferences or declining requests that feel overwhelming or invasive. Why boundaries feel so difficult? If you are someone who dreads disappointing others or fears conflict, boundaries can feel like cliffs rather than fences. Echoists, whose identities partly form in response to others' needs, often feel guilt or anxiety when asserting even the smallest limits, worrying it will seem selfish or risk rejection. Introverts, while somewhat more practiced at valuing their internal worlds, can still struggle to communicate their needs, especially when misunderstood as cold or aloof. Signs your boundaries need strengthening, feeling drained or resentful after interacting with certain people, consistently putting others' wants before your needs, difficulty saying no even to small requests, experiencing anxiety or guilt at the thought of taking time for yourself, relationships that feel one-sided, where your role is always to listen and absorb, never to receive. Practical steps for setting boundaries. Start small. Begin with safe situations, a polite decline to attend a social event, or turning off your phone for an hour. Small acts build confidence. Use clear language. "I need some time to myself tonight" is honest and direct, avoiding ambiguity. Non-verbal cues. Sometimes body language can reinforce your words. Crossed arms, limited eye contact, or gentle turning away signal that you need space. Name your needs. Practice articulating what makes you comfortable or uncomfortable. "I enjoy our conversations, but I also need quiet time to recharge." Anticipate pushback. Not everyone will respect your boundaries right away. Stay consistent, repeat yourself calmly, and trust that those who care will adapt. Seek support and practice. Self-compassion. Confide in someone who understands your temperament and will affirm your efforts. Special challenges for echoists. Echoists might feel bad even while asserting minimal boundaries. If you notice a spike in guilt or anxiety, remind yourself boundaries are not walls but bridges, tools for healthy connection, not separation. Practice self-affirming statements such as "my needs matter too" or "taking care of myself allows me to show up better for others." Cultivating lasting change. This journey is gradual. Previous patterns, especially those rooted in childhood, may persist. But each time you set a boundary, you reinforce your internal sense of worth. Schedule regular check-ins with yourself. Journal, meditate, or simply reflect after encounters with loved ones to see how your boundaries are holding. In the end, boundaries are not barriers to love. They are the means by which we allow love to flow safely, sustainably, and authentically. For the quiet souls of the world, they are nothing less than essential. Chapter 8. Assertiveness for the quiet mind. Assertion is not aggression. It is the act of claiming space with grace. For introverts and echoists, who are often more attuned to others' emotional cues, the path to assertiveness can feel rocky. Our culture frequently equates being assertive with being loud, forceful, or even confrontational. Yet true assertiveness for the quiet mind is subtler. It is the art of speaking up for oneself, even when the world expects you to stay silent. Barriers to assertiveness. Echoists and introverts may have internalized critical voices, familial, societal, or even self-imposed, that discourage them from voicing opinions or needs. Echoists, in particular, fear overshadowing others or being the source of discomfort. Introverts may simply find it easier to remain silent, especially amid more dominant personalities. Recognizing the quiet voice. The first step toward healthy assertiveness is noticing the soft ripple of your own wants. These may show up as a gentle longing to rest, a wish to change a conversation's direction, or even dissatisfaction you've hidden for years. Learning to listen to yourself instead of automatically tuning in to others lays the groundwork for change. Understanding the assertiveness. Spectrum assertiveness lies between passivity, "I don't matter," and aggression, "only I matter." The assertive stance is "I matter and you matter too." For the shy or inward focusing, this mental shift is liberating. Building assertive muscles roll, playing and practice. Rehearse responses in front of a mirror, with a friend, or in writing. The script may feel foreign at first, but repetition breeds comfort. Feel your feelings. Notice where anxiety, guilt, or fear arise when you express yourself. Instead of suppressing them, label them. "I feel nervous speaking up, but my voice is important." Embrace simple statements. Sometimes a direct "I would prefer" or "I'm not comfortable with" can be powerful and sufficient. Accept discomfort. Assertiveness may initially feel unnatural, especially for those accustomed to pleasing others. Expect discomfort. It will fade with experience. Use I statements. Focus communication on your experience rather than accusations. "I feel overwhelmed when plans change last minute. Can we agree to more notice?" Emotion regulation. Practice breathing exercises, brief grounding meditations, or visualization to calm nerves before challenging discussions. Assertiveness at home. Work and socially home. Discuss chores, privacy, or family routines. Stand firm on what works for you. Work. Volunteer ideas in meetings, request reasonable accommodations, or set email boundaries. Social settings. Share preferred hangout durations. Participate at your own pace. And politely exit draining conversations. Special encouragement for echoists. You are not selfish for asserting yourself. When you claim your own needs and wants, you actually create opportunities for deeper, more balanced connections. Relationships flourish when both parties are seen, heard, and respected. Moving forward. Assertiveness is a practice, not a one-time achievement. Celebrate each step, no matter the size, in cultivating your voice. Permit yourself to be visible, to take up space, and to know that your quiet opinions have worth equal to those said at higher volumes. Chapter 9, Listening versus Speaking, Finding Your Voice. Introverts and echoists are often masterful listeners. You might find solace in hearing others out, picking up nuances that go unnoticed by the hurried ear. This gift, however, sometimes morphs into a hidden curse. Persistent listening without adequate speaking can lead to invisibility, a life spent holding space for everyone but yourself. The joy and cost of listening active. Empathetic listening is an art. It communicates, I value you, I'm here with you. But when listening is compulsive, rooted in fear of speaking or overshadowing, it breeds exhaustion and silence. Echoists may nod and smile, absorbing pain and stories until they feel heavy. Introverts may avoid group settings, fearing their slower pace or deliberate thinking will never compete with quick-tongued speakers. Understanding the blocks to speaking: fear of judgment or getting it wrong, anticipation of being ignored, or interrupted habitual deference to more dominant voices, low self-regard, or internalized criticism. Reframing speaking as contribution. Rediscover your voice as a gift, not a burden. Imagine your thoughts as lanterns, gently illuminating conversations that lack depth or nuance. Speaking isn't about commanding attention. It's about enriching understanding. Practical tools for finding your voice. Pause and reflect. Before reacting, buy yourself time. Let me think about that for a moment. This gentle pause can fortify confidence and clarity. Prepare talking points. For social or professional settings, jot down 2 to 3 points you'd like to share ahead of time. Treat it as an anchor, not a script. Start small, build gradually. Make brief comments, ask questions, or offer feedback in smaller groups. Progress to larger situations as comfort increases. Use assertive listening. Sometimes, the bravest step is redirecting a conversation. I'd like to share my perspective, if that's okay. This honors both your listener and yourself. Practice self-compassion. Internal criticism may follow your efforts, especially after quieter periods. Remind yourself, every attempt is progress, even if imperfect. For echoists, owning your story. You might feel that your experiences are less important, or fear pushing others away by taking up space. Know that your story adds value. Begin in trusted circles. Share minor anecdotes or thoughts and notice the connection that arises. For introverts, respecting your rhythm. You need not be the loudest to be heard. Your insights are often more thoughtful because of your internal processing. Structure conversations so you have time to think. Longer pauses, written responses, or even follow-up messages can serve your voice. The balance between speaking and listening. Both are needed for authentic connection. The magic happens when you listen deeply, then speak gently but surely, sharing your truth in a way only you can. Chapter 10. Navigating workplaces as an introvert or echoist. Modern workplaces often reward self-assured presentation, rapid collaboration, and vocal participation. For introverts and echoists, such environments can feel both inspiring and draining. The constant churn of meetings, impromptu brainstorms, and open-plan offices sometimes seems built for those who thrive on stimulation and social interaction. Recognizing your professional needs. Understand that everyone brings unique value. Introverts and echoists offer creativity, careful problem-solving, empathy, and keen observation. Yet sustained overstimulation leads to stress and burnout. Strategies for thriving at work leverage strengths. Your reflective nature fuels creative solutions. Use written communication, emails, memos, or project proposals to share ideas more comfortably. Set work boundaries. Politely decline unnecessary meetings or suggest alternatives, a summary in email or a quick one-on-one. Design your workspace. If possible, arrange your desk to limit distractions. Noise-canceling headphones, soft lighting, and scheduled solitude can help. Create recharge rituals. Take solo lunch breaks or brief walks. These moments restore energy and clarity. Network strategically. Focus on smaller, more meaningful connections instead of large networking events. Develop depth with key colleagues. Prepare for big moments. For presentations or meetings, rehearse and plan your talking points. Arrive early to settle nerves. Addressing echoism at work. Echoists may struggle with taking credit for accomplishments, saying yes too readily, or avoiding leadership. Start by documenting your contributions privately, then gradually share them. Practice self-advocacy. I'd like to take on this project because I have experience with similar tasks, or I led the data analysis for this report. Managing overwhelm in modern workplaces. Limit multitasking. Focus on single tasks when possible. Use technology wisely. Turn off non-essential notifications. Request flexibility. Remote work, flexible hours, or quiet spaces support your needs. Seek mentorship. Find allies who appreciate your temperament and advocate for you, dealing with misunderstandings. Others may mistake your quietness for disengagement or lack of confidence. Proactively communicate that you are listening and reflecting. I process ideas best internally. Can I share my thoughts after this meeting? Defining success on your own terms. Quiet professionals succeed by leveraging their strengths, not by mimicking extroversion. Measure your growth not by volume or frequency, but by the authenticity, quality, and impact of your work. Chapter 11. Overcoming people-pleasing tendencies. People-pleasing can be a deeply ingrained survival strategy, especially for echoists and sensitive introverts. Rooted in a fear of rejection or conflict, it manifests as chronic agreement, setting aside your true self and contorting to fit others' expectations. Over time, this erodes self-esteem and the ability to form genuine connections. Origins and patterns of people-pleasing. Many echoists grow up in environments where their needs were minimized to avoid trouble or in response to narcissistic or demanding figures. Introverts may please others as a strategy to minimize attention or avoid confrontation, recognizing signs in daily life, routinely agreeing even when you disagree, apologizing excessively, feeling anxious when others are displeased, prioritizing others' desires, even to your own detriment, difficulty making simple decisions or expressing preferences. Why we struggle to please. It often feels safer, temporarily. By smoothing over conflict and presenting a perfect self, you hope to secure safety, love, or approval. But unconditional acceptance cannot be won through self-erasure. Steps toward change. Notice your triggers. Who, where, or when do you most often please at your own expense? Awareness is step one. Experiment with micro changes. Disagree gently once a day or express a small preference. For echoists, even stating a food choice can be a radical act of self-respect. Release the need to fix or save. Others are responsible for their feelings and outcomes. Practice tolerating discomfort. It's okay to feel uneasy after asserting yourself. This is familiar pain, but it fades. Rewrite your self-talk. Instead of, if I say no, I'll lose them. Practice. People who respect me will respect my boundaries. Seek role models, allies and support. Therapy, self-help groups, or supportive friends can help rewire core beliefs, finding authentic connection. Counterintuitively, pleasing everyone prevents intimacy. Real love and friendship thrive when both parties are genuine. As you let go of these patterns, you will likely face resistance, but also uncover who truly values you and who only values your compliance. Embrace imperfection. It is not your job to be easy, agreeable, or perfect. Your worth is not contingent on being undemanding. Imperfect, honest interaction sustains real connection and lasting self-regard. Chapter 12. Cultivating meaningful connections. Quality over quantity is the introverts and echoists mantra. While mainstream culture often glorifies expansive social networks, your heart yearns for deep, nourishing bonds. Yet forming such connections can be daunting when you're sensitive, private, or habitually deferential. Redefining connection. You do not need an army of friends to feel anchored. A handful of kindred spirits, those who see you, value your quiet presence, and honor reciprocity, can transform loneliness into belonging. Barriers to deep connection: fear of vulnerability, or of sharing too much of your interior world, past betrayals, disappointments, or social rejection, exhaustion from superficial small talk or crowds. Seeking out compatible souls. Follow your interests. Join book clubs, creative circles, or causes that spark authentic excitement. Meaningful overlap in values and passions is fertile ground for depth. Initiate. Slowly, invite a potential friend for coffee or an event. Keep initial interactions low pressure and brief. Use digital communities thoughtfully. Online forums, hobby groups, or support networks can connect you with like-minded individuals worldwide. Be authentically you. Drop the mask. Speak honestly about your preferences, limitations, and quirks. Nurturing relationships with integrity. Invest time. Regular small gestures, texts, notes, listening. Foster intimacy, balance, giving and receiving. Allow yourself to ask for help or express need. Connection is not about self-sacrifice. Share your truth. Vulnerability builds trust. Start with small disclosures and deepen at a pace that feels safe. Navigating social exhaustion. Permit yourself to retreat and recharge between engagements. Explain your needs to loved ones. I need solitude to show up fully when we're together. Letting go of shallow ties. End or minimize relationships that are draining, one-sided, or based on obligation. This frees emotional space for deeper connections. Celebrating your relationship style. You bring listening, empathy, and loyalty, a rare and precious combination. With patience and courage, you will find your people, nurture mutual growth, and experience true belonging. Chapter 13. Leveraging strengths in a socially demanding world. Far from being liabilities, introversion and echoism cultivate profound strengths. When acknowledged and honed, your temperament can become the foundation for personal and professional fulfillment in a world that too often worships extroverted ideals. Identifying signature strengths, deep empathy. You feel with and for others, providing non-judgmental support, thoughtfulness and preparation. Your ideas are carefully considered, often leading to creative solutions. Attentive observation. You notice nuances overlooked by others, details, moods, patterns. Loyalty and reliability. Friends and colleagues can depend on your consistency and integrity. Resilience in solitude. You draw energy from within, thriving even, or especially, during quiet periods. Translating strengths into action. Curate your environment. Seek workplaces and social circles that value depth. Quiet focus and collaborative, not cutthroat. Energy. Advocate for your gifts. Articulate your strengths to employers, friends, and partners. Examples. I bring big picture thinking, or my careful research supports group projects. Use reflection to solve problems. Leverage your ability to pause and evaluate. generating unique approaches when quick fixes fail. Be a bridge builder. Use empathy to mediate conflicts and build consensus. Establish signature boundaries. Protect your energy and mentor others in doing the same. Avoiding common traps. Don't let self-doubt convince you that your strengths are invisible or unimportant. Resist the pressure to perform extroversion in ways that exhaust or diminish you. Celebrating quiet success. Success isn't always loud. Quiet leadership, behind-the-scenes contribution, and deep relationships are worthy milestones. Honor your journey, share your story, and inspire other quiet souls to claim their strengths too. Chapter 14. Coping with Overstimulation and Burnout. The modern world is rarely kind to those with finely tuned senses. For many introverts and echoists, overstimulation is a constant companion. A barrage of office chatter, relentless notifications, social events that pile up like waves against the shore. What begins as manageable soon morphs into exhaustion and, if left unchecked, burnout. Overstimulation occurs when sensory input exceeds your ability to process or recover. This threshold varies widely. Some individuals might find loud environments invigorating, but the introvert or echoist internal experience is often very different. For them, the cost of noise, crowded spaces, and demanding interactions is cumulative, leading to physical fatigue, emotional depletion, and even a sense of dissociation from self. Recognizing the early signals, the earliest warning signs of overstimulation, are subtle. Perhaps a racing heart, clenched jaw, or inexplicable irritability after an innocuous conversation. Physical manifestations may include headaches, digestive discomfort, or difficulty concentrating. Emotionally, you may notice a diminished capacity for empathy or a sense of numbness. The first step toward coping is learning to recognize these signals early and without judgment. Practical strategies for immediate relief, creating space for decompression, is paramount. If possible, physically remove yourself from the source of stimulation. Step outside for fresh air, retreat to a quiet room, or even close your eyes for a brief moment. Mindful breathing, focusing on slow inhales and exhales, helps to ground the nervous system. A favorite sensory object, a soft fabric, a calming scent, a gentle melody can soothe frayed nerves. Intentional planning. The key to lasting management is not just reacting, but planning. Assume that overstimulation will happen and structure your life to include regular intervals of quiet. If possible, advocate for remote work days, break your calendar into manageable segments, and avoid back-to-back social engagements. Learn to say no or not now, an act of self-preservation that can feel uncomfortable but is crucial to avoid burnout. Reevaluating your relationship with technology. Digital devices offer connection, but they're also vectors for stress. Set and keep boundaries around screen time. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Designate tech-free periods each day, and be mindful of digital noise. It's easy to write off these distractions as minor, but their cumulative effect is powerful. Restorative activities. Engage in activities that nourish rather than deplete. Quiet walks, journaling, art, meditation, or reading. Physical movement doesn't have to mean an intense workout. Gentle yoga or stretching can restore the body and mind. Most importantly, choose activities that feel restorative to you personally, not those that simply mimic popular self-care trends. Seeking support without overextending. For echoists especially, asking for support can be daunting. The fear of burdening others may silence your needs. Practice sharing your experiences with trusted friends or counselors who respect your boundaries. You do not have to navigate overstimulation alone, nor do you have to divulge every detail. Sometimes a simple, "I'm feeling overwhelmed and need some time to recenter," is enough. Chapter 15. Finding solitude without isolation. Solitude is the sacred cornerstone upon which introverts and echoists build their sense of self. It is the quiet room, the walk alone, the inward turn that allows for deep reflection and restoration. Yet in a world where connection is often equated with constant engagement, solitude runs the risk of being misinterpreted as isolation. Distinguishing solitude from isolation. Solitude is a deliberate, nourishing withdrawal, a chosen moment of respite. Isolation, in contrast, is often imposed and involuntary, marked by a sense of loneliness and disconnection. The difference is profound. Solitude rejuvenates, while isolation depletes. The challenge lies in ensuring your retreat replenishes you, rather than cutting you off from needed social support. Crafting your sanctuary, begin by identifying your sanctuaries, spaces and routines that invite peace. It may be a corner of your home, a local park, or the act of journaling at dawn. These places need not be grand. Their power lies in their ability to facilitate inward focus. Embrace rituals that mark the boundary between engagement and solitude. A brief walk after work, a cup of tea before bed, or an hour spent in creative pursuits can signal your transition to self-care. Navigating relationships communication is vital in preserving solitude without offending or worrying loved ones. Simple honesty, "I need some quiet time to recharge," anchors your needs within the context of the relationship. Over time, friends and family will come to appreciate these boundaries. For echoists, who may instinctively suppress their own needs, the risk of isolation is high. You may feel guilt for seeking space, fearing it falters your support for others. Reframe solitude as necessary for showing up fully. By nurturing yourself, you're better equipped to nurture others. Filling solitude with nourishment. Solitude is not an absence, but a presence. Fill it with activities that replenish: reading, writing, music, and gentle movement. Pursue passions that thrive in contemplation. Treat this time as sacred, protecting it from intrusion and guilt. Harnessing technology to support, not sabotage. Ironically, digital connectivity can undermine solitude. Social media, messages, and news feeds often intrude on intentional quiet. Be ruthless about setting boundaries. Turn off devices or use apps designed to minimize distractions during your rejuvenation periods. Mindfulness in solitude. Mindfulness deepens the rewards of solitude. Sit quietly, observe your breath, or simply watch the world outside your window. The goal isn't to achieve an outcome, but to settle into the present moment, listening for the subtler rhythms of your own mind and heart. Recognizing when solitude becomes isolation, monitor your emotional state over time. If feelings of loneliness, sadness, or anxiety persist, consider whether your solitude has tipped into isolation. If so, reach out. A friend, therapist, or support group can help you rebuild connections without sacrificing quiet. Chapter 16, the role of reflection and self-awareness. For introverts and echoists, reflection comes as naturally as breathing. In the hush after conversation, in the quiet hours, in the private corners of the mind, they turn inward. Yet self-awareness isn't merely a passive current, it's a powerful, active tool for resilience and growth. The essence of reflection is the process of turning inward to review experiences, emotions, and thoughts. It's the dialogue you have with yourself, a gentle questioning and honest reckoning. For those often overwhelmed by external stimuli, reflection offers space to integrate, understand, and recover. Building the habit of reflection. Establish a daily or weekly habit of checking in with yourself. This doesn't have to be arduous. A few moments in the morning, a journaling session at night, or a meditative pause during lunch. Ask yourself simple but profound questions. How am I feeling right now? What do I need? What energized me and what drained me today? Allow the answers to emerge without censorship. This isn't a test, but a practice in honesty. Awareness of echoist patterns, self-awareness, can be particularly challenging for echoists, who often default to suppressing their own needs. Through reflection, begin to notice persistent patterns. Do you downplay your achievements? Avoid expressing preferences? Feel responsible for others' emotions? Flag these tendencies gently. The goal is not self-criticism, but self-understanding. The transformative power of journaling externalizes internal processes. By writing your thoughts, you render them visible, tangible, and actionable. Over time, patterns emerge, triggers for overstimulation, recurring sources of joy, and warning signs of withdrawal. Treat your journal as a trusted confidant, without judgment, only compassion. Mindful self-appraisal, reflection is not rumination. While rumination traps us in loops of self-doubt and regret, mindful self-appraisal invites curiosity and growth. If you find yourself fixated on negative experiences, redirect attention. What have I learned from this situation? How can I support myself moving forward? Integrating feedback from others' self-awareness expands when combined with gentle feedback from trusted friends, mentors, or therapists. Ask for their observations. Do they notice when you seem depleted? Is there a recurring theme in your interactions that you might miss? Welcome this feedback as information, not an indictment. Balancing reflection with action. Reflection is fertile ground, but action is the harvest. Allow your self-understanding to guide practical changes, a revised schedule, new boundaries, or assertive communication. Periodically revisit your reflections to assess progress and adapt as needed. Chapter 17: Personal Growth Through Mindful Habits. Personal growth is not an overnight transformation. It is a series of gentle, consistent choices that accumulate into lasting change. For introverts and echoists, mindful habits serve as stepping stones toward resilience, fulfillment, and well-being, anchoring you in the face of life's noise. Understanding mindful habits. Mindful habits are intentional routines and behaviors that ground you in the present and nurture your well-being. Unlike rigid discipline, mindfulness invites curiosity and flexibility. Whether you're a natural introvert, drawn to routine, or an echoist working to honor your own needs, these habits are crafted with self-compassion. The role of ritual in growth. Rituals help you mark time and transition, morning reflection, evening walks, regular journaling. These moments become touchstones in your day, providing comfort and predictability amidst uncertainty. Designing your mindful practice. Begin by identifying areas where you feel depleted. Sleep, nutrition, movement, social engagement, and creative expression. Select one area to focus on first. Change is most sustainable when gradual. Set realistic goals. For example, if you decide to introduce mindful walks, start with 10 minutes daily. As the habit becomes second nature, expand the duration and invite deeper presence. Notice the sounds, sights, and sensations as you move. Responding to overstimulation with mindful pause. Practice the mindful pause during overwhelming moments. Ground yourself by observing your breath, noticing the sensation of your feet on the floor, or counting gentle inhales and exhales. This interrupts the cycle of stress, allowing for conscious choice rather than reactive withdrawal. Mindful boundaries. Growth also means learning to say no, not yet, or not now. Mindfulness teaches you to notice your internal state when asked to overextend. Are you anxious, resentful, fatigued? Honor these signals by setting boundaries that protect your energy. Creative habits. For many introverts and extroverts, creativity is a source of joy and healing. Dedicate time to writing, art, music, or any form of expression that feels natural. Integrate creativity into your routines, making it a regular part of your self-care. Social habits. Tailored to your needs, social engagement is often draining, but it's also essential for connection. Mindful social habits involve choosing whom, when, and how you interact. Opt for one-on-one meetings, shorter durations, or gatherings in tranquil environments, evaluating and adapting. Regularly review your habits. What's working? What feels forced? What brings joy or fatigue? Adapt as needed, understanding that mindful habits evolve with you. Chapter 18, Leading Quietly. Influence without noise. Leadership is often portrayed in bold colors, commanding voices, unyielding conviction, and visible authority. Introverts and echoists, however, have a different kind of influence, quiet, deep, and enduring. Leading quietly is not an absence of impact. It's a profound presence that shapes outcomes, relationships, and communities without noise. Understanding quiet leadership. Quiet leaders lead by example, demonstrating integrity, thoughtfulness, and genuine care. Their influence emerges from active listening, deliberate action, and a commitment to authenticity. In workplaces, families, and friendships, they build trust through reliability rather than charisma. Core traits of quiet leaders: empathy, a hallmark of quiet leadership. Empathy fosters trust by honoring the experiences and perspectives of others. Thoughtfulness. Decisions are made with care, considering both immediate and long-term implications. Integrity. Quiet leaders operate from their values, even when it is unpopular or unnoticed. Harnessing your natural strengths. Introverts and echoists may shy away from traditional leadership roles, fearing exposure. Instead, recognize the value of your unique strengths: keen observation, deep listening, and strategic thinking. These skills are highly prized in collaborative environments. Influence in teams and groups. In group settings, your approach may differ from loud or dominating styles. You contribute through insightful feedback, creative problem-solving, and fostering collaboration. Use one-on-one conversations, written communication, and careful facilitation to share your vision. Managing the pressure to perform. The expectation to lead like an extrovert can be overwhelming. Advocate for leadership styles that accommodate different personalities. Recognize that your quiet authority is just as valid and impactful as louder approaches. Tending to the needs of echoists. Echoists may resist the spotlight, yet often possess natural skills for mentorship and support. Find avenues to lead from behind, supporting, encouraging, and guiding others without seeking attention. Cultivating a quiet leadership practice. Set clear goals for your team or family. Communicate transparently and follow through on commitments. Celebrate successes quietly but sincerely, and create space for reflection after both achievements and setbacks. Building influence beyond titles. Leadership is not about hierarchy. You influence every time you support, encourage, or inspire. Model the values and behaviors you wish to see, creating ripple effects that extend beyond immediate circles. Chapter 19, Thriving in Love and Relationships. Love is a universal longing, but the path to fulfilling relationships is often complicated for introverts and extroverts. Their tendencies, whether seeking solitude, avoiding attention, or feeling responsible for others, can shape how love is given, received, and sustained. Navigating connection, introverts may cherish deep, meaningful conversations over constant socializing, while echoists might struggle to express needs within relationships. Both are susceptible to feeling misunderstood or overlooked in partnerships that prize extroverted norms. Building relationships on authenticity. Begin by honoring your own style of connection. Communicate openly with partners, friends, and family about what you need to feel safe and cared for. For introverts, this may mean explaining why downtime is essential. For echoists, it may involve practicing the expression of desires, however small. Strategies for intimate bonds. Embrace vulnerability. It is a myth that introverts and extroverts cannot be open. In fact, their ability to listen and respond thoughtfully often creates profoundly safe spaces for intimacy. Share your inner world, reflective moments, creative passions, struggles, and joys. Setting boundaries without guilt. Boundaries are essential, not selfish. If you need time alone after overwhelming days, communicate this need with assurance. Frame solitude as a way of returning to the relationship refreshed, rather than as rejection. Echoists often overextend themselves emotionally, absorbing their partner's needs at the expense of their own. Practice sharing responsibility. Relationships thrive when both parties feel seen, heard, and supported. Building trust through consistency. Trust grows in the soil of reliability, showing up when promised, listening without distraction, honoring agreements. Introverts and echoists excel at creating safe environments where trust can flourish, provided they do not neglect their own care. Dealing with conflict is inevitable. Approach disagreements with reflective calm. Resist the urge to withdraw or acquiesce. Express your perspective, even if it feels uncomfortable, knowing that true intimacy demands authenticity. Nurturing love. Over time, relationships, like individuals, evolve. Regular check-ins. How are we feeling? What do we both need? And keep love vibrant even during busy or stressful periods. Engage in shared rituals, evening talks, weekend walks, creative projects. Chapter 20. Living authentically, flourishing in your own way. The ultimate goal is not simply surviving in a loud world, but flourishing authentically. For introverts and echoists, authenticity means living in alignment with your values, needs, and passions, even when it defies convention. Honoring your true self. Begin by accepting your temperament and tendencies without apology. Quiet is not a deficiency. It is a rich source of wisdom. Embrace your preference for depth over breadth, reflection over reaction. Crafting a life aligned to your nature. Assess your current life, work, relationships, and routines. Where do you feel most alive? Where do you feel drained or disconnected? Make gradual changes to orient your days toward activities and connections that feel true. Navigating external expectations, society may push for louder, more visible success. Resist the pressure to conform. It's possible to achieve, influence, and create on your own terms. Honoring your capacity for solitude, introspection, and gentle leadership. Building a supportive community. Seek out individuals and groups who appreciate your authentic self. Fellow introverts, creative souls, mindful colleagues. Join forums, book clubs, volunteer groups, or support networks where quiet strengths are valued. Practicing self-compassion. Be kind to yourself when setbacks occur. Growth is not linear, and authenticity often involves periods of discomfort. Celebrate progress, however small, and offer yourself the patience you so freely give others. Integrating mindful strengths. Use mindful habits to anchor your authenticity. Reflection, creative expression, quiet leadership. Allow these routines to support you in times of uncertainty. Conclusion: living authentically is a radical act of self-respect. By honoring your strengths and needs, you move beyond survival, crafting a life of quiet joy and meaningful impact. In thriving your own way, you become a lighthouse for others. Proof that true flourishing doesn't mean being the loudest, but being unapologetically yourself. If you found this video helpful, inspiring, or entertaining, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on future content. Your support means the world. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.